When I began to take interest in drums at the age of 13, I went down to the one and only Tommy's Drum Shop here in Austin, Texas, and I would grab every catalog each company had to offer. That was a huge thing back then for a lot of us starry-eyed kids. We'd take them home and literally spend hours looking at the glossy pages of these professionally shot pictures of all these drum sets, snares, and hardware. I even bought every issue of Modern Drummer, reading the articles and absorbing what the popular drummers at that time had to say and who their influences were. I wanted so badly to have a kit like my favorite drummers, sizes and setup. Because when you're young, impressionable, and inexperienced, it's easy to think you want that, right? If it works for Dave Lombardo, it must work for me, right? If it works for Will Calhoun, it must work for me, right? If it works for Dennis Chambers, it must work for me, right? Wrong! Hello everybody, my name is Brian Christopher Mendes and welcome to another installment of Mendiesel 101. My web series that deals with gear, lessons, humor, and anything that I have learned in my past 23 years as a professional drummer. Before we get started, I'd like to mention that my new website is up where you can find merch such as the shirt that I am wearing and this hat, as well as other styles of t-shirts and cool designs that are available there as well. You can also find on my website my new downloadable video on paradiddles, which helps facilitate both strength and control in your hands and feet, believe it or not. And be on the lookout for new exercises as well that will be available to download. And if you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and like this video. That's if you like it. And please follow me on Facebook and Instagram as well. And now a word from our sponsors. Ashy Ass Alvin's Body Butter Hydration Oil, my fellow Negroes. That's right. Winter is upon us, and you know what that means. Ashy ass motherfuckers walking around like they've been rolling around in cake mix or looking like Tyrone Bigum's lips. That is a thing of the past with Ashy Ass Alvin's new and improved Negro Saturation Formula. Available in extra strumpf. And now with 25% more strumpf. No more itching and embarrassing ashy ass ankles or knees or elbows or hands or wrist or whatever your ashy ass might have. It's available in all major swap meets and Whole Foods. So in this installment, I will be talking about the importance of gear choices, particular why you pick the gear and how you set it up. When a person takes interest in learning an instrument, it is usually because of a pivotal song or album that they heard. Well, maybe it sounds great for them too, is what they're thinking. Now I must begin with, I am not knocking the influence's choice of gear. That is not this at all. It works obviously for this person, and they sound great on it, and they feel comfortable on it. Now just because that gear and setup works for them, doesn't necessarily mean it will work for you. Prime example, when I was younger, really getting into drums, one of my favorite drummers was Dennis Chambers. One of the most phenomenal drummers of our time. I was reading an article in Modern Drummer, and when I saw what sticks he used, I immediately went out and bought a brick of 8As, which are very tiny sticks considering my overall size. After about a week and a half to 2 weeks, my forearms started cramping up badly. They were cramping up because I was trying to get the sound that I was getting from the other sticks that I was using, the sticks that felt more comfortable in my hands. I soon realized these sticks work for Chambers, not for me. And over the course of my career, I experimented heavily with sticks. I started out with this stick, and literally 20 sticks later, I ended up with now is pretty much my arsenal of sticks. I have 2 pair of sticks that I use depending on the gig. No, actually I got 3 pair of sticks that I use depending on the gig. I'm now playing Firth metal wood tip sticks. The funny thing is I don't play a lot of metal, but these are big sticks and they feel right in my hand. For the technique that I use, for the size that I am, and for the sound I'm trying to get, these sticks are perfect. I also use Thomas Lang's Firth signature stick as well. Depends on the gig. I just did a session literally last week where these are the sticks I used for this gig because the gig required a certain heft, beef to it. Not that the metal isn't hefty, it's definitely big and hefty. But the tips and the shank and the shoulder are just different on this stick. But nonetheless, back to what I was getting at. Come on, man. stay on track, bruh. I started off with this stick, thought I wanted to use the Dennis Chambers stick, and quickly realized it didn't work. I love a wide range of musical styles, and one of them was thrash metal to be exact. I loved Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, Exodus, Testament, Megadeth, and these guys all had huge kits, right? Big old 24-inch kicks, two of them either having 3 or 4 toms across, sometimes even 5 or 6, 2 floor toms, plethora of cymbals. Yeah. At the time, I had a setup similar to Will Calhoun's or Dennis Chambers' kit, but badly wanted a huge kit like Lars or Dave.
Get to the point, you ashy ass motherfucker.
Hey man, I ain't ashy no more. Now when I use ashy ass Alvin's Negro saturation formula, now in extra strumph.
Ashy ass Alvin's.
Today.
All right. Point being, I found a huge kit at a pawn shop. This had to be hot because it was brand spanking new. And they sold it to me for $350, no lie. It was a huge double bass, brand new Ludwig Super Classic. The kind that had the 4 bass drum spurs on them. Back in the day, Ludwig used to make kick drums that had 4 bass drum spurs, 2 in the back and 2 in the front. Don't ask me why, ask them. Anyway, 2 24s by 16, 10 by 10, 12 by 12, 13 by 13, 14 by 14, 16, and 18 in chrome mirror finish. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Metal all the way. Oh, shit. I finally had the setup of my favorite thrash players. Or did I? I didn't like the way the kit felt. I didn't like the way I had to set up. I literally had this huge spread now with the kick drums to the hi-hat. And playing a groove was just like, this is nasty. Felt awkward. Not to mention, the toms are so damn big on top of those big ass kicks. It was really hard to get them positioned the way I needed them. And I didn't like the way they sounded either. And to top it off, I couldn't even get them in the back of my mini truck. I could only bring 1 kick, a couple of toms, and a floor tom. Because the damn kit was so big. I sat and practiced a long time in the garage with that kit. And after a while, I realized it just wasn't for me. And anytime I went to go play with a band, 90% of the time, it was pocket. Even with the most heaviest of styles I would play, it was still pocket oriented. I never played with any thrash bands, only in my garage. Understand how you may or may not be like your influences. Doesn't mean you can't learn from them, but what it does mean is you ain't them. And eventually you will find your identity. Understand that people physically can be different than you. Understand their mental upbringing. All this plays into what brings this person about and how they play. They had a different childhood. They have different physical attributes to them. They might be smaller, they might be taller. Whatever it may be is what made them who they are. And what makes you who you are is unique, and you should cherish that and embrace it. All my influences that I listened to growing up, I can proudly say I learned a lot from, but I sound like me. And I play on a kit that reflects me. I think it's inevitable sometimes to pick the right kit when it comes to being under the spell of your influences. If you can make the effort to be rational and honest with yourself, then I'd say those mistakes will be not as big and few and far in between as well. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, and share it as well. I'm Brian Christopher Mendes. Peace and chicken grease, motherfuckers.